Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you're learning to code right now, or you're in some other fields of knowledge work, like if you're in law or if you're in business or if you're, doing any form of knowledge work, which apparently these new AI models can do for you, you have probably asked yourself, is it still even worth it? Is it still meaningful for me to continue to do the work that I'm doing right now? And in case of software engineers, which most of you guys watching this are, if AI can write code every single day, if AI is getting better every single day, should I even bother? And I get why you are asking that. But I think as a software engineer who's already working in the industry, and also as somebody who switched fields mid-careers, like I was from a mechanical engineering background and then I switched into tech, all of you, including me, are asking the wrong question. And that is what I want to talk about today. That's why I wanted to make this video. Because the real issue isn't if coding or whatever skill that you're practicing on a day-to-day basis, whatever that is, will that be valid 5 years or 10 years from now? And will AI automate our jobs? All these questions are not the main deal. Like, nobody knows what will happen. Nobody can predict the future. Not even the tech bros and the influencers or whatever people we follow on the internet, and they give you those 5 skills to learn to survive in this AI age. Not even those guys can predict the future. So the real issue is, how do we build our careers and what it is that we actually work on and strive to work on when we cannot predict what will happen? And something like this has not happened in the past. People have generally prepared for careers, long-term 20, 30, 40-year-old careers, for something that will last longer than 50 years or 100 years, right? But with this advent of AI, things can change up quickly, and the real question then becomes, how do we prepare for that, and what do we prepare in the first place? So I think there's a really good answer to that. Let me walk you through it. So let me first take you to my master's in mechanical engineering, where I was scoring well, I was doing good, I was, sort of just coasting along with subjects and stuff. Like technically there was nothing wrong in whatever I was doing, or my grades or the university or whatever. Everything was fantastic. But on the side, I was helping some of my friends do some coding challenges, some problems, build some coding projects. And it was not as if I was able to build anything, very easily. In fact, I was not able to build anything at all. Like not able to solve any lead code questions, not able to build any project. I didn't know what front end, back end databases, whatever that was at that point of time for me. All in all, I was struggling, but all of that was so much fun, so exhilarating, that even after a hard day of work, I would, be sit down to work on my own personal projects after I had learned some basic coding, and that would fill me with energy. Looking back at all this is when I realized something very significant, and that is that we are all asking the wrong questions. Like when I switched my career, it was a risky move. I didn't know if I would be able to succeed, because there are people in the field already who have tens of years of experience, who have formal education in the field, unlike me, who's a self-taught developer. But I still switched. I wasn't asking if this will be safe for me or if this will last long or whatever. I was asking myself what actually makes me feel alive. And before you click off the video, I want to give you a practical implementation of this advice and why this matters the most in this AI age. Because asking, will AI take over my job, or what skills are future proof, all these questions are a trap in themselves, because you're sort of trying to predict something that literally nobody can predict. Personally, for me, I have tried to predict so many times what I'll do, 3 years, 5 years down the line, and it never goes according to plan. Initially, I wanted to be some government officer in India, serve the government, serve the country, and then, I went into engineering, and then I wanted to build some good stuff in the engineering field, and then I came to the US, which was never on my radar till the second last year of my bachelor's, and then I came here as a mechanical engineering student, and then switched to robotics and AI and machine learning, and now I'm working as a software engineer, and I would never have imagined I would be making YouTube videos for you guys sitting in front of a camera. Basically, things never went according to plan, and honestly, I'm so grateful they didn't, because that 19-year-old version of me, that boy had a limited worldview, limited knowledge, and from the limited understanding of whatever was around him, he was making decisions. Even right now, I have, some amount of understanding of what is happening, but there's a sea of information and knowledge and wisdom that is to be acquired, and once we have those things, only then can we map out the next moves, right? So it's an iterative process throughout life. So what I mean to say is that being in this uncertain situation is what makes life meaningful. I think probably for the best. And you know what is funny? Back in 2019, AI experts, like people who are doing R&D on AI every single day, they predicted that AI will take over all the blue-collar jobs. Factory workers, truck drivers with these self-driving cars, Tesla making their robots, and even firms like Boston Dynamics showcasing their robotic capabilities since the last decade. People felt that, all the physical jobs will be automated and all the blue-collar creative jobs which required our brain will survive the long term. And then in 2023, enters ChatGPT, enters generative AI. And suddenly, this generative generative AI is writing essays for us, is making images, videos, effects, is sending proposals, and now we have agents which are working autonomously, and AI is even writing code for us. Nobody saw all of this coming. Not even the experts whose literal job it is to predict all these things. So if the people who study AI for a living get it completely wrong, why do we think that we can predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years? We literally cannot. And that is fine, because once you accept this, you can start asking better questions. So now that we have established that we cannot predict the future, a better question to ask, according to me, is how can I build a career? Like, what steps can I take when I cannot predict what is in front of me? Because right until this point, right until 2021, 22, I knew what was ahead of me. I knew what was 10 years, 15 years ahead of me, and I would plan accordingly, and I could take those particular actions, learn those particular skills, and then, get into the industry. But right now, I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And you can't even control many things. You cannot control what gets automated. You cannot control what new technology pops up tomorrow. You can't control how fast AI is getting better, right? But what you can control is what you learn and how you learn it. Let me elaborate, because the rest of the video is just the crux of what you need to do in order to succeed in the AI age without feeling bitter, if that makes sense. So point number 1, from all the career paths that you can see, list out 10 to 50 different career paths and pick the one that you genuinely love. For me, that's problem solving through code. I was always into math and science and puzzles, and like this sort of problem solving always gave me a sort of hit, and that's not for everybody. And that's why this is my unfair advantage, and you gotta find yours. Now, if coding becomes obsolete in 5 years, will I be scared? Absolutely yes. And am I prepared? No. Do I have it all figured out? Absolutely not. None of us have, right? But the thing is, and this is the important part, I won't regret spending the time on all of this because I love what I do. Because for a lot of us, and coding is an acquired taste, we get into coding for the love of money, for the love of a comfortable life. All of this sort of grows onto us. But for me, it was different. And that's why it doesn't matter if coding is not relevant in the next 5 years, because I'm doing it for the love of it. If it, goes obsolete, it's fine. Like, I was able to, build stuff for my off. I was able to, exercise my brain engines and, make money on the side. This is the key. And before you think, this is a privileged advice coming from somebody who's already made it, he's living a comfortable life, let me tell you, I'm still paying my education loan. A large chunk of my salary goes in my education loan back home in India. It goes to my rent. So I'm not, financially comfortable and stuff. But I genuinely believe that doing something that I love will make me better than anybody else, because they'll be doing it for work, but I'll be playing. Like, if you're doing something just for the paycheck, your mind and soul is not into it. But if my mind and soul is into it, I'll be able to outwork every single one of you, because that's my bread and butter. That's my baby right there. But for you, it's just another job, and you cannot compete with me on that front. But also, on the other hand, this doesn't mean that you have to quit your job and be a romantic artist or whatever, because you have to pay your bills. The right approach is to find an intersection of what you love and what other people will find meaningful, and they'll pay you back for it. So for me, I love coding, and if I do coding for a company, they'll pay me back. Or I love coding, or if I can build a software that I can sell that benefits other people, they'll pay me for this. So that's something that I love, and that's also beneficial for other people, and that's gonna make me money. It's not like playing chess. I love playing chess, but it's not gonna make me money if I'm not a Grand Slam level player. So you have to find what you love, because that is the most important thing. As Naval says, what you work on is more important than how hard you work, because we all know that, right? A security guard works 16-hour shifts every single night, and he earns lesser than somebody who's working in office, because they work 6 to 8 hours a day, and then they get 3 to 4 times the salary of the security guard of a building. The guy who's working in the office is working on the right thing, and he's working less and making more money. And this mindset shift will protect you from the bitterness when the world shifts underneath you, when suddenly things change, and suddenly a new technology pops up, and suddenly AI gets better to take over your job. Point number 2, once you have chosen what you want to work on, now it's time to work the hardest on it. And by working the hardest, I mean learning that particular skill. For example, I want to get into Web3 development, right? I want to know what Web3 is. I want to be able to be a Web3 developer. How do we go about learning this new skill so that we can make ourselves valuable for people to pay us? And this is what I call meta learning. I've mentioned it in some of my previous videos as well. It is the ability to learn how to learn, and learning things faster and better and more efficiently than other people around you. So I can make a full detailed research-based video on how it's done, but here is a brief about how I do it. Firstly, I scope the subject. I make a topic of all the things that I need to cover. For example, if I want to learn Python, I'll just make a list of all the things from arrays to data types to data structures to dictionaries to whatever that list is, right? I'll just make a list of all the things that I need to do. And then I go topic by topic. For example, Today in my 4 or 5 hour time slot, I'm going to cover arrays in Python. So for the first 1 hour, I'm going to spend time understanding what is. Through AI, through free YouTube videos, through documentation, whatever resources there are, I'm going to understand and get a feel of what that particular thing is. But getting a feel is just half the story, because if you cannot implement what you learned, then you are not that valuable to your employer or your startup or whatever. So in the next 3 hours, I practice a bunch of questions. I would target 15 to 20 to 30 questions depending on the complexity of the topic, and I'll just take these questions up and then I'll just go head on. And the key part that people miss, I expect to struggle while solving those questions for the first time, because I just have a very shallow level understanding of what that particular topic is. I expect gaps in my knowledge, and this struggle, this is where the magic happens. This is where the actual learning happens, because with each question you get to know something new, and after covering up 5, 10, 15 different questions from different areas of that topic, I am able to pick up any new question in that particular topic and then just solve it. I've seen all the patterns, I've practiced a bunch. That is where you build the skill. But the point is, if you can learn new things faster and better than anybody else, you are not locked into a particular technology or a particular framework or a language or a particular field or a job title. You are you. You can learn anything faster and better than anybody else, and there is no limit to what you can do in your career. Let's say coding becomes obsolete tomorrow. Will I be scared? Yes. And I even don't have it figured out, right? But I've done it in the past. I've switched from mechanical design to software engineering in the past using these frameworks, and I know that these works because I've learned a different bunch of skills. For example, how to speak in front of a camera, how to edit videos, all these things. When I was just starting out my YouTube journey, I was learning all these things, and so this method works. Like, no matter what skill you want to learn, this thing works, and I'm confident in my ability to learn new things, as opposed to being desperate that my current skill set must survive the AI era or whatever. So stop predicting the future and start asking yourself, do I really enjoy this, and do I have the patience and time and the ability to stick to that particular thing for the next 2, 3, 4 months and then learn that thing so that I can get a new job in that particular field? Answers to both these questions is yes. You are absolutely sorted, because all the other things just take care of themselves. And I'm not saying it out of any certainty. I'm just saying it out of my self-belief that I can do anything new, because to be honest, in an AI era, that is the best mindset that you can have. If this helped you shift perspective, please hit like and subscribe. As always, it means a lot. Feel free to leave your comments down below on what you feel about all of this. I always read all of your comments, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.